Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after weeks and weeks of uncertainty in the OpTic camp, Shotzzy has confirmed that iLLeY once again is back in the starting lineup of the OpTic team. They've tried it in scrims last night, 2 sets of scrims. Apparently they went very well indeed, and iLLeY didn't have any recurring issues. Will this retain though over the coming weeks? Because if he does return and these issues return, surely that's the season chalked for the OpTic camp. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to dive into today. Bantacore speaking to the CDL, trying to get his ring right to come second a couple of times now with the Call of Duty World Championship. Maybe there'll be a year to come where that won't be the case. If X is right, of course, he's going to get one this year. Crimsix, actually, there were plenty of scrims going down last night. Of course, the OpTic guys were involved in them, seemingly with their new roster again. Shotzzy was kind of leaking one of the scoreboards from it. We'll see that here in a second. But again, Crimsix and the New York guys, of course, their matches only get harder right now. They're, of course, sitting currently at 2-0 in the Major 4 qualifiers, but they're going to need to keep stepping up their performance if they want to take it to the next level. They play the likes of OpTic very soon indeed. Of course, they did beat OpTic last time out in Major 3, but that was with Prolute in the team. If iLLeY is in the team, of course, that should be a different beast theoretically, but so many questions about this if iLLeY does return, because he's been trying to for weeks at this point. The concern has been that if he keeps pushing it too soon, that he's going to injure things further or, cause himself further issues. He reckons seemingly it's okay now, but, whether that will be the case in a few weeks' time or in a month's time when the World Championship comes around, that, of course, is a massive question as well. Crimsix on the health grind, though, good to see, and they were playing some scrims last night, seemingly up against the Atlanta FaZe camp. This I thought was hilarious here. It was a bit of a one-on-one between Crimsix and Hydra, Cristiano Ronaldo, or whatever people were calling it. I mean, look at this absolute finesse from Crim. Hydra's completely mind-blown. There's nothing you can do about this, right? Crim's just straight up too good. Drills watching on and thinking, wow, this Crim guy's just straight got talent. Look, fair play, pre-scrim one-on-ones. But look, the scrims seemingly didn't go too well for the New York camp. We'll see that in a second. This also, Donny Tempia. Finally, guys, we're getting some content from scrims on the YouTube side. We used to get this every so often, right? The likes of Envoy, Scump occasionally would put up, OpTic Chicago scrim maps from last year. Nowadays, other teams don't seem to like you to do that too often. I think there was even some talk early on this season, the fact that when OpTic was scrimming some of their scrims and stuff, the other teams they played against didn't want them to put them up on YouTube or even stream them, just because they were going to give away strats of the other team. Even though, let's say it was OpTic's point of view, teams like FaZe or whatever might have been concerned that, other teams would get ideas about what they were doing for their breakups and stuff from OpTic streams. So generally, you don't see any content nowadays. You might see the occasional scrim results from the Donny Temp leaking, or early in the season, you generally get it. But yeah, finally we're seeing some content go up on YouTube. He's been getting it over there lately, and this is one on Bacage, 250-170. So maybe giving a good idea as to why Paris seems to like to play this map so much. But yeah, when they played against Seattle, maybe not the wisest idea against a team like that. But then again, if Paris played this map against OpTic or something, there could be a serious threat there, right? Because OpTic generally like Bacage, Paris obviously like it as well. That's a possibility when they play here in just a few days' time. This also, if Marty's with the Paulek situation with Scrim New York and Paulek plays with his open mic on, Paulek is like, wow, mind blown. Did not realize that was the case. I guess he had his mic activated in the game itself, in addition to in the TeamSpeak or Discord, whatever the New York guys were using. So maybe, FaZe just got free information the entire time. But yeah, maybe this scrim didn't go so well, as Paul then went on to tweet this one out. Pretty sad face. And yeah, Simp says, thanks for the scrim. So maybe they got just completely demoralized. Generally happens when you scrim FaZe, in fairness. But yeah, of course, New York will have to hit new levels. They don't play FaZe in their remaining 3 matches, but they certainly do not have some easy ones. This Sunday they play OpTic. We'll see that though in a second from the OpTic perspective, because of course this past week was a tragic one for OpTic. 0-2, we got reverse swept by Boston, beaten by the Minnesota Rokkr, an 0-2 start. In fairness, the last time this happens, of course, they had iLLeY in the team last time this happened, but they went 0-2 back in Major 1. They then won 7 straight series and won the Major. The chances of that happening again are very slim indeed, but look, it's not out of the realms of possibility, especially because apparently they do now have iLLeY back in the starting roster. We've seen some teasers of this for a couple of days now. iLLeY said this a couple of days ago, I will take what is mine. We looked at this and thought, okay, would he be tweeting this if he's not confident that the return is imminent? I love using the word imminent whenever it is possible to do so, but yeah, we kind of saw this and thought, okay, is something going on here? And then Shotzzy was kind of, on the live stream last night. Of course, look, he's going to get questions there, and he was mentioning yesterday the possibility of, okay, look, we're not going to pick anyone up instead of Prolute. Our Prolute's going to be our guy. He's going to be our sub for the rest of the season. No Temp, no Scrappy, no Clayster or whatever. No options like that we're going for, because we think that iLLeY can still return. Now, look, if iLLeY has to step out of the team once again for whatever reason, probably because these issues recur, which they might do, right? It's happened so many times at this point. The flip-flop has been crazy within the OpTic camp. iLLeY's got to be, and I'm sure Ramo and the guys have talked to iLLeY about this and said, look, you've got to be 100% sure you're going to be good here, because if iLLeY comes back and then it doesn't work out within 2 or 3 weeks, that's just GG for OpTic. They might as well just chalk it off. So iLLeY's got to be 100% sure, you would imagine here, that he can make the return. But maybe he is, right? Because as we kind of revealed last night, there were some clips that were coming out, even from the OpTic guys, on one of these iLLeY clips, and back in the Black Ops 4 days, Shotzzy was watching and having a good time. But of course, later on in, well, this stream, from particularly last night, there were some clips where Shotzzy was, of course, mentioning the fact that iLLeY is returning to the starting team. They played with him in scrims. A couple of scrim sets went down last night. Apparently, it was going really well. They were frying in scrims, kind of what even Scump mentioned before the Major 4 qualifiers began, when he said that iLLeY was back in the team and iLLeY was playing really well, and it felt like they hadn't really skipped a beat without him in the team. But of course, then the issues returned, or the kind of range of motion issues that he was having apparently as a result of the cortisone shots were returning, and therefore he had to step out of the team again, and that pretty much chalked off their entire chemistry. And I'm sure the frustration was rife within their camp, especially because they felt like iLLeY had still the possibility to return, as seemingly he still does. So now, Shotzzy's given a similar explanation now to what Scump said a couple of weeks ago when iLLeY's now in the team again. And well, apparently they were looking good, and seemingly no issues with pain or range of motion or whatever in 2 sets of scrims. Before, when it was before the Major 4 qualifiers, there was only 1 set of scrims that was going down to ease iLLeY back into things. That actually might not have been the greatest idea, because you want to play 2 sets a day to make sure that iLLeY can actually hack that and play at a consistent level when you do need to be ramping up your practice ahead of big events. So apparently that's now all okay, and yeah, he's back in the team, at least as is currently planned for, I suppose, this upcoming week of Major 4 qualifiers.
Ender is back, man. Yes, Ender is back, dude. Ender is back. Yes, we've been playing with Ender. Well, only today. He came in and he was like, yo, boys, like, I'm feeling good, man. Like, you know? And then we played with him, and, you know, we played a full 2 sets. No pain, no stiffness, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? All right. I'm pretty sure there's nothing good. Like, all right, we should be good. I had to, like, bro, like, dude, we're like, why would I be lying, dude? Photoshop, dude. I'm not. You think I photoshopped this, dude? Who has the most time, dude? Yeah, look at me with the most time. I don't care. We got Ender back, dude. This is from the day, dude. I wouldn't lie.
So this was that scoreboard screenshot that kind of Shotzzy leaked right there, with iLLeY going 26 and 17, fair bit of hill time. Scump, Dashy, Shotzzy. I mean, look, they're all positive here, so whoever they're playing against, they're probably absolutely bodying them on the scoreboard front, and we can see already at this point, they've got a lot of time in the hard points. But, I mean, yeah, look, this is the team, of course, they want to have. This is the team that they're confident in, that they can win with. Like, it doesn't seem to me they're confident, really, they can win with Prelude, right? But this is kind of the key discussion point here, like, is iLLeY going to be good for the rest of the year? He seemingly is confident he can return. I'm happy about this idea that they've played 2 sets of scrims yesterday, and said, okay, look, iLLeY, we're not just going to play 1 set to ease you in. You're going to have to go all out or not at all. Like, can you hack this for a couple of days? They're going to try it, because, like, if they can get iLLeY back, they actually have a chance. If they don't get iLLeY back, like, and they have Pro Loot, I just don't think they have, like, their leadership and all the other issues they talked about. The fact that they seem to lose full very easily when they don't have the leader of iLLeY in the team. Like, all these issues make me believe that there's no way they win anything with the team without iLLeY. But with iLLeY, of course, they can, and they're confident in being able to do exactly that. So we shall see what happens on this front. But this is effectively last and final call, right? If iLLeY comes back here and then plays this upcoming week of matches, and then next week on Monday he says, you know what, guys, it's not great, like, man, I really hope that doesn't happen, but still, based on what's happened the last few months, you can't rule it out as a possibility. But like, he's got to be sure, and I'm sure the team are saying, look, are you sure you can actually do this? Because we've got to lock in, effectively. Like, OpTic, as we talked about a few days ago, they've got to make a call. Now is the chance to make the decision, like, look, iLLeY, either stick out the rest of the season, have, like, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months off, whatever you need to make sure you're 100% ready to go for next year, or we say, okay, you are good to go, what do we do from there, keep you for the rest of the year, or they say, okay, Pro Loot isn't our guy, we want to get someone else, right? But look, we saw this, it's only like 8 days or so ago, where iLLeY was saying that, okay, yeah, the cortisone shot hasn't exactly had the desired consequences, but within a couple of weeks it should be okay, and that at least is what the doctors have told him. But so many other people have said, not necessarily different stories, but a lot of people have said the idea that, okay, the cortisone shots, it only lasts to a certain amount of time, like within 2-3 weeks or so, are the effect of it going to wear off, and therefore he's going to start having issues again, because that's the worst case scenario. If he can, let's say, play the next 2-3 weeks perfectly well through the final couple of weeks in the Major 4 qualifiers and Major 4 itself, but then before the World Championship in the scrims there, things start to come back, like, it would be an absolute disaster. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully OpTic get back in full force for the rest of the season. Of course, there is admittedly going to be a lot of pressure on iLLeY to perform, as well as the kind of outside of the game things that, just because, you know, OpTic want to see this team be capable of winning again, right? And of course, they start in just a couple of FaZe time with their matches once again. These are the games they play this week. I believe they play Toronto, their only game of the final weekends, but next week on Saturday they play Paris. This is pretty much the same thing that happened back in Major 1. They lost the first 2 series in Major 1, then they played Paris, they beat Paris, and then they won every single series for the next 10 or 12 series in a row or something. So maybe this is the catalyst that they need, especially with iLLeY back in the team. They then play Subliners on Sunday. This is a massive one for New York, such a big week for New York, right? They play Surge, they play OpTic. They need to win at least one of these series, you would think, if they have a good chance of actually making the run to the World Championship. So who knows? They went Game 5, Round 11 with Surge. Last time out, they played them at Major 3 in Winners Round 1. But regardless of the situation, New York are going to be coming with the fire against OpTic right here in this series. So a big week for OpTic. I think they need to go pretty much 2-0. If they go 1-1 here and then they play Toronto on the final week, they're not putting themselves in a great position to even get to winners bracket. But with iLLeY back, I do have confidence this team can turn it around, and obviously they're confident as well. And we'll just have to hope that it works out for the best. But they've made the call, they've made the decision, whether it's iLLeY, whether it's the team, to bring him back to feel like he's okay. But he's got to be confident here, right? Because if this doesn't work out, that is done and dusted for their season, I'm sure of it. Wanted to look at a few funny things before we close out the video here. Firstly, the power rankings that Deserto come out with. Thought these were kind of remarkable. There's so many things here that, okay, some of it is maybe justifiable. Others of it just doesn't make any sense to me. We've somehow got Thieves up in 3rd. I don't really know how they managed to finesse that one, but I suppose fair enough. I just don't think that's really justifiable at all, based on at least their Search and Destroy, but I suppose they went 3-2 with FaZe, so that's maybe what they've decided here. Toronto are somehow, I don't really get this right, somehow London, despite beating Toronto, are still in 10th and lost a place, but Toronto are still up in 4th? I don't really know about that. How could London and Toronto be so far apart when London beat them this week? Doesn't make any sense to me. OpTic down in 7th, I feel like is, I thought honestly think based on their performance last week, they did look like a team in the middle of the pack like this. But, I don't know if I would necessarily drop them this low quite as of yet. Especially putting Florida above them seems a bit optimistic, right? But I mean, look, at least the Guerrillas and Paris, we could all agree on that one, I suppose. And also FaZe and Surge, I suppose, are the top here. But, some people like Donny Temp would say that Surge are number 1 right now. So we'll see what happens over the coming days, whether they can justify that going once again into Major 4. But I thought these were rather interesting. Now, speaking of power rankings and the like, Simp actually came up with a player tier list last night. Thought this is pretty hilarious. He initially, right here, as Octo points out, kind of puts certain players into the absolute worst tier possible. He puts Neptune, Awakening, Dave Paddy, and he puts Capsule as well down here. I think maybe he's kind of boys with some of these guys. Maybe that's why he's doing it for banter. And he eventually creates this as his tier list, which, I mean, look, I don't know. I've seen Reddit tier lists better than this, to be honest. I think some pro players are pretty faded with how they do this sometimes. But in fairness, I'm sure Simp is kind of basing this to a degree on how, he's playing these guys in scrims all the time. How is he shooting against these guys in scrims? Are these guys shooting back? Are they not shooting back? These type of questions. Because guys like Sky's down here in the B+ tier. The fact that Arcitys is in the S tier here, I think is very questionable as far as a lot of people are concerned. But I'm sure Simp has a great respect for these FaZe guys because he was kind of the substitute on their team for quite some time. So yeah, you guys could just have a look at this list and see what you think. Obviously, this bottom tier, right? He's putting himself in for get rid of the Juju man effectively. And then he's got John here in the C+ tier. So he made this tier for effectively the Paris Legion guys, with the exception of Donny Temp, who gets up a little bit higher. I'm pretty sure. Where's Donny? Here he is up in the A+ tier. But it's always interesting to look at the way pro players perceive this stuff, because I think it's often very different. I'm sure he's not really considering placing so much. He's just kind of thinking, okay, when I shoot against this guy in scrims, is he frying me or does he not shoot back effectively? That's maybe the way he's kind of decided to do this list, at least to some degree. And just to finish out with this question, I thought you guys would find rather interesting. What is better in this season? Because of course FaZe are in an interesting predicament right now where they may well go this season winning no chips, but winning the World Championship at the end of the year. That's still a possibility for FaZe. Or is it better to win 5 championships throughout the season but not win the World Championship? It's kind of tough to say in a way, because maybe a 5-to-1 ratio is pretty good for longevity. Assault, for example, his only championship victory, I'm pretty sure, was the one world title he got back in 2018 on Evil Geniuses. So it's an interesting one. I think it depends to me where you place in these other ones. If you own Evil Geniuses, for example, and yes, they place 2nd at Seattle in World War II, but let's say you place top 12 every event apart from champs, everyone's going to say it was a fluke win, right? Whereas if you place 2nd every event and then win champs, it's okay, wow, you overcame adversity. So I think for FaZe, they'd probably prefer this one, because if you win everything and don't win the World Championship, you kind of feel like Rise Nation did in World War II, or even 100 Thieves in Black Ops 4, and feel like you kind of squandered away your chance. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button and tell the YouTube gods it's a good video, and it's like you should see it as well. And I grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.